Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining me today. I'm really honored to have you with us. Could you please tell me a bit about the inspiration behind your work?
Sure, yeah. Good morning, Joanne, and thanks for having me. I'm honored to have the chance to speak with you and share some stories. A lot of it came from like my own family experience. Like my great-great-grandfather came over in the 1800s, and then because of the Exclusion Act and the head tax and all those things, like they can never bring their families. So then um, my great-grandfather started a restaurant in Quebec, in small town Quebec. And then that was the restaurant, that was the only setting I knew my grandfather in, was in this small town in rural Quebec, because that's where he had an opportunity. And those are the stories of Asian Canadians that go obscured, that go hidden. And so in my writing, I try and bring life to those, and that's very much like tied to that family experience for myself. I'm always passionate about inserting into storytelling about our communities that like we're not a monolith. Asian Canadians have been here since, the first ones were documented to land in 1600s, and they started coming over in larger numbers in the 1800s. And so our history here is pretty much as long as any other settler Canadian. But we are the perpetual foreigner, we're the perpetual outsider, we're the perpetual newcomer, like the fresh off the boat mentality, Through Eyes Open, the whole idea is, talking about the model minority without talking about the model minority. So like very much playing up this idea of silence and how we've always been seen as a quiet people, as like, just keep our heads down and work hard sort of thing. And very much wanting to, speak back to that a little bit and resist this notion that quietness or silence is equated with timidness and weakness, which are also descriptors that are often ascribed to our community. So that piece very much was about like, okay, yeah, like we're maybe a bit quieter, but like, here's why, and here's how, like we're allowed in our own ways, sort of thing. And so I really tried to pull out, themes or motifs like song and prayer, whisper, language, your mother tongues, like those sort of things that all have to do with like using our voices, right? And when I talk about like what are the work songs that our ancestors sang when they were building the railroad, what are the prayers that our ancestors whispered when they were sent to Japanese internment camps. But just those type of motifs to me really speak, and so that's what I really tried to put into the pieces.
Yeah, 100%. And when I think, so the keeping your head down, right, and working hard, I think at one point you had written pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, right? Those are very much lines that resonated with me. I think when I look at the generations, right, the older generation, like I know my parents even are very hesitant. It's still that instinct of being quiet, right? Not speaking up. And I was born here, so, I'm much more, that's wrong, you need to do, you need to stand up for yourself. But they're very much that, no, we don't want to cause trouble. You just, don't worry about it. It's fine. But it's also frustrating at the same time seeing, they've been here for so long, like over 40 years. And it's like, you have a right to be here. You have a right to speak up, right? And seeing that they still haven't found their voice to do that, it's frustrating as their daughter, right? So yeah, those lines clearly resonated with me.
Putting into words what we all feel. Thank you for putting into words what I've felt for, decades, or thank you for putting into your piece like stuff that people don't know about us. So that to me is kind of like right there demonstrative of exactly this idea of silence. It's like, no, these are feelings and like visceral emotions and like blood memory that like so many of our community carry. And so that to me, I think is really encouraging to know that like, yeah, we are aligned on these things, and like a lot of us feel these same things. And, as as a writer, all you can ever hope is that that people are able to resonate with your words. So it's like, it's not even really so much about me or about my poem, or about my poems, but it's about like how that inspires other people to take their space, you know. And so kind of just taking those, like, you know, stereotypes of our communities, and then take them and then running with them a little bit, but turning them on their heads and being like, yeah, this is how you see it, this is how we see it. And that's kind of what the inspiration was behind both of those pieces.
Mm-hmm. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today as we're honoring Asian Heritage Month. I'm so honored to have you as a part of our interview to talk about your work, Eyes Open and Model Minority.